Every Sunday dinner, she'd serve me food last, then say, "Only women who obey get seconds." My husband laughed like it was a joke. One day, she made me eat on the floor because the table is for family. I took the plate, then quietly slipped something under her chair. Before leaving, that changed everything. I married my husband, Rick, when I was 27. He was 32, charming, tall, had that deep laugh that made people turn their heads when he walked into a room. He worked in commercial real estate in Arlington, Texas. I met him at a friend's housewarming party, and we clicked fast. Too fast, maybe. We dated for a year, and things were good. Quiet, even. Then, after the wedding, I started seeing signs. The smallest cracks. But you ignore them when you're in love. You excuse them. Like how he always said, "Mom's opinion matters." Or how every Sunday was non-negotiable. "We eat at Mom's." At first, I thought it was sweet. Family-oriented. Loyal. But it didn't take long for me to realize I wasn't marrying into a family. I was being invited into a kingdom. And his mother, Sylvia, was the queen. Sylvia was in her mid-60s, had a face that always looked like she was smelling something bad. Her house was spotless. Her manners old school. Her words could slice bone. But she said them with a smile that made it seem like you were the crazy one. The first Sunday after we got back from our honeymoon, she didn't even greet me properly. "You're not allergic to pork, are you?" That was her welcome. Every dinner after that, it got worse. She made it clear I wasn't her choice for Rick. He used to date that girl from Plano, the one with the doctor father. Remember her? She wore pearls. She always served everyone in order. Her husband, her daughters, Rick's brother, Rick's nieces, even the neighbor's dog once, then me. She'd hand me a plate last, then say loudly, "Only women who know their place get seconds." She'd laugh like it was a harmless joke. Rick would chuckle too. "She doesn't mean it, babe," he'd whisper. Yes, she did. She meant every word. After a while, I started to dread Sundays. The way she looked at me, the passive digs, the times she accidentally spilled wine on my blouse, then blamed it on me not being careful. I tried talking to Rick. I asked him to stand up for me. He said, "That's just how she is. Don't take it personally." But it became personal when she made me eat on the floor. We were married 3 years by then. Rick's sister brought her new boyfriend, and suddenly there weren't enough seats at the table. I was about to grab a chair from the kitchen when Sylvia said, "No, let him sit. Let's not be rude." Then she looked me dead in the eye and said, "The table is for family. You can sit over there." She pointed to the floor in the corner. I looked around. No one said anything. Not even Rick. His sister smirked. His nieces giggled. I stared at Rick. His face was blank. Then he looked down at his plate like nothing happened. I sat on the floor. I ate on the floor like a damn dog. That night, I cried in the car. Rick didn't say a word on the drive home. I knew then. I was done asking for respect. I was going to take it. But not with yelling. Not with some dramatic scene. I planned slowly, carefully, like she would. Sylvia had this thing about appearances. She ran the Women's Historical Guild in Arlington, hosted charity events. Her home was spotless, polished to museum quality. People in her neighborhood respected her, worshipped her, even, to them. She was a refined Southern matriarch, but I knew her core was rotten. So I decided to rot her image, quietly. It started the following Sunday. I went to dinner like usual. I took the insults, the smirks, the plate handed to me last. But before I left, while everyone was outside looking at Rick's niece's new car, I excused myself to the bathroom. On my way back, I paused behind Sylvia's chair at the table, leaned down like I was checking my purse, and slid a tiny device under her chair. A voice recorder. Not just any recorder. One I bought online with 40 hours of storage and motion activation. I knew they always gathered in the dining room midweek for planning meetings. Sylvia loved to gossip and rant, especially with her closest friends. I left that recorder under the chair for 3 weeks, replacing it every Sunday. And I listened, and what I heard was gold. Sylvia used slurs, ugly ones, talked about how colored kids in her neighborhood ruined the HOA pool, called her neighbor's adopted Chinese daughter, that chopstick baby, mocked her friends' weight, marriages, children. She joked about how she treats her maids like wild dogs because that's how they're used to being handled. She laughed about making me sit on the floor, saying, if she can't handle it, she can crawl back to whatever low-income swamp she came from. I clipped the worst of the audio into a 10-minute compilation, and then I sent it anonymously to the Women's Guild Board, 3 of her closest friends, a pastor at her church, her HOA president, and Rick. I also made a burner Facebook account and uploaded the audio with captions and her face as the thumbnail. I titled it, What Sylvia Sounds Like When She Thinks the Help Can't Hear. The fallout started the next day. She was removed from the Women's Guild. The church sent a letter banning her from volunteer positions. Her 2 best friends ghosted her. Her HOA stripped her of her garden competition title. The audio made it onto a local Facebook community page. Her name was Dirt. Rick came home from work, red in the face. What did you do? I didn't deny it. I protected myself. You humiliated her. She humiliated me for 3 years. He didn't speak to me for a week. Then he moved into the guest room. Then he started coming home late. Then one night, he didn't come home at all. I didn't chase him. I didn't cry. I hired a divorce lawyer. I had evidence of emotional abuse. Those recordings helped prove it. My lawyer was sharp. I walked away with half of everything in the house. Rick moved into an apartment 5 blocks from his mother. Sylvia tried to call me once. She left a message. I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life. No, Sylvia. You destroyed it. I just let everyone hear it. Now I have peace. Sundays are quiet. I eat at my table, in my home, on a chair, like a human being. No whispers. No cold stares. No games. But every now and then, I still drive past her house. The roses in the front yard are dead now. The paint on the mailbox is chipped. No one waves when she walks by. And I smile, because queens fall the hardest when they trip over their own crown. I thought it was over. After the divorce, after Sylvia's fall from grace, I figured that chapter of my life had closed. I focused on healing. I started therapy. I joined a cooking class. I even went on a few dates. I wasn't rushing anything. I just wanted to feel normal again. But Sylvia wasn't done with me. 3 months after the divorce, I got a notice from the IRS. I owed nearly $11,000 in back taxes. Apparently, someone had anonymously reported that I'd underreported my freelance income from 2 years ago. Problem was, I hadn't done freelance work in 2 years, and the return in question, it had been filed by a tax guy Rick's family used. It was a setup. I called the tax office. They wouldn't give me the name of the person who reported me, but the timing and the fact that only Sylvia and Rick knew who did my taxes back then told me everything I needed to know. Then came the job issue. I had been up for promotion at the interior design firm I worked at in Fort Worth. My manager loved my work, said the job was basically mine. Then, suddenly, she went cold, pulled me into her office, and told me they'd received a character complaint about me. She didn't say who sent it, but someone had forwarded an email claiming I had a personal history of racist slander and internet harassment. They had linked the very same audio I used against Sylvia, but spun it like I was the voice behind it. They tried to say it was my voice. Luckily, my boss knew me well enough not to believe it, but HR still flagged it. The promotion was put on hold. I was humiliated. It felt like Sylvia was dragging me down piece by piece, trying to make sure I never got back up. I went to a lawyer. She told me I'd need hard proof Sylvia or Rick was behind the tax report or the email, but both were sent through anonymous sources. No paper trail. Nothing direct. So I waited. I started doing my own digging. Rick's brother, Travis, was a heavy drinker. He liked to post stupid things on Facebook, especially after a few beers. He and I had never gotten along, but he was dumb and loud. Two things that made him useful. One night, I saw a comment under one of his photos. Someone asked if he was still going to that charity event at Sylvia's country club. Travis replied, "Doubt it. Ever since Mom's Lil, ex-daughter-in-law, got her kicked out, we're blacklisted. That BTCH thing she won. Just wait till she finds out who filed the IRSSHD." He deleted it within 10 minutes, but not before I screenshotted it. Then I went to the tax guy Rick's family used. His name was Carl Whitman. I told him I was opening a complaint about my return from 2 years ago and wanted to know who submitted it. He was nervous. Said he couldn't give out client info. I told him about the fake report to the IRS, how I had a screenshot from someone linked to the family, and how if he didn't give me answers, I'd report him for fraud. I handed it all to my lawyer. With the texts from April and the mounting evidence, my lawyer filed a formal defamation and harassment complaint against Sylvia and Rick. We weren't suing for millions. We just wanted it on record. I didn't care about money. I wanted truth. I wanted Sylvia's mask to be permanently off. The court filings shook their family harder than I expected. Rick's older brother, David, reached out. He and I had barely spoken during the marriage. But now, he was nervous. Said he wanted to set the record straight. He told me that Sylvia had planned the whole IRS complaint months before she even filed it. She'd asked David if he knew someone who could send in a tip without it getting traced. He said no. But apparently, she kept pushing. She bragged that if the courts couldn't humble me, the government would. David said something else, too. Something I didn't know. Sylvia had written Rick out of her will. She's obsessed with image, David said. Since your recordings went viral, her reputation's dead. She blames Rick for not stopping you. She said, and I quote, "I raised a son too weak to keep his wife in line." I almost laughed. Almost. But what David said next took the breath out of me. He told me Rick had been recording me too. Apparently, Rick had hidden small devices in our bedroom before the divorce. He'd hoped to catch me breaking down or saying things he could use in court. David found out when Rick drunkenly told him at a family cookout, bragging that she won't be so smug once I drop those recordings. I wanted to throw up. My lawyer moved fast. We subpoenaed all digital recordings, any backups, anything he had stored on cloud drives. We filed for violation of privacy laws under Texas statutes. It was serious. Rick could face jail time if proven. That was the point Sylvia and Rick cracked. Rick showed up at my lawyer's office, pale, shaky, offered to sign a public apology and pay damages if I dropped the privacy suit. He said he didn't want to make this worse for the family. But I wasn't dropping anything, because while all of that was happening, a new storm was brewing. Remember the local Facebook page where I posted Sylvia's audio? Someone from a Dallas news blog had picked it up. They ran a story titled, "When Southern Charm is Just a Mask, Arlington Woman Exposed for Racist Rants." They interviewed two women who used to work as cleaners for Sylvia. One said Sylvia made her use the back door and accused her of stealing food from the pantry. The other said Sylvia once referred to her as it, and now those women were filing a complaint too. Labor abuse, discrimination, defamation. Sylvia's world was burning. Fast. She tried to save herself, released a pathetic statement saying her words were taken out of context, blamed her generation and regional culture. It didn't help. She was shunned from everything she once ruled over. Grocery stores, church, book clubs. Even her hairstylist refused to take her appointments. But that's when Sylvia finally turned on Rick, for real this time. She told her lawyer she wanted him out of her house. Apparently, he had moved back in after his breakup and suspension from work. She kicked him out cold. He showed up at my house again. This time I didn't answer the door. He sat in his truck for an hour. I watched him through the blinds, just staring at my porch. Then he drove off. That same night, my neighbor, Jeff, the one with the Ring camera, came by. "You should know," he said. "Someone's been circling the block the last few nights. Same car. Black Tahoe. He showed me the video. It was Rick's truck. I called the police, reported it, but it wasn't until the next weekend that things hit a new low. I was visiting my sister in Denton, just for the day. I came home around 8:30 p.m. and noticed my front door was unlocked. I always lock it. Always. I walked in slowly, heart pounding. Nothing looked stolen, but something was off. In my kitchen sink, I saw it. A plate. A single, clean plate. And a note, folded neatly underneath it. I opened it. Thought you'd like a seat at the table again. I stood there frozen. It wasn't just creepy, it was sick. It was him mocking me, reminding me of the lowest moment of my life. I called the police again. They searched the house. Found no one. But Rick had crossed a line. It was enough for a restraining order. We got one filed in less than 48 hours. The judge granted it immediately. His past behavior, vandalism, harassment, digital recordings, now this note, was enough. Rick was served 2 days later. The final twist: I got a call from Sylvia's neighbor, Mrs. Givens, an older woman I used to help bring groceries in when I still lived nearby. She never liked Sylvia much. She said, "I thought you should know. I overheard Sylvia yelling on the phone last night. Something about being betrayed by her own son." Then I heard her say, "He brought shame to my name, to my home, and she made sure everyone knew it." Then Mrs. Givens paused. "And I'm glad you did, sweetheart. You did what no one else had the guts to." That night, I finally slept. Not because I felt safe, but because I knew they were finally the ones losing sleep. And I wasn't done. The restraining order kept Rick away, for a while. But broken people don't just disappear. They fester. And Rick was rotting fast. 2 weeks after he got served, he was arrested again. This time it wasn't for me. It was for showing up drunk at Sylvia's neighbor's house and trying to borrow their car. Said he was getting out of this state. The cops found weed in the glove compartment. It wasn't his. He claimed he didn't know it was there. Didn't matter. He was violating probation from his earlier vandalism charge. He went to county again. 3 days in holding. His mugshot made the local news. It was the kind of photo that made people say, "Damn, what happened to that guy?" He looked old, bloated, broken. I should have felt sorry for him, but all I felt was peace. I didn't even smile. That surprised me. I just felt done. Meanwhile, the lawsuits against Sylvia got louder. The 2 cleaning women who filed complaints, they teamed up with a local advocacy group, took it public. A segment aired on a Dallas affiliate about elder women abusing domestic workers. Sylvia's name was on screen for 7 full seconds. You don't come back from that in Texas. She lost her charity status. Her homeowners association passed a motion to remove her from any future involvement. She was formally discouraged from attending church services. Even the pastor called her a cautionary tale of pride and cruelty. And the real cherry on top, her daughters stopped speaking to her. They found out from April about the lies, about the text telling them to smear me. When they saw the screenshots and heard the full audio, they cut her off. Sylvia had ruled over that table for 3 decades. Every Sunday, every birthday, every family holiday, she served food like it was a crown, called the shots, set the seating chart. Now, she sat alone, her table set empty for Easter. I only know because April sent me a picture. It was a subtle shot, taken through the sliding glass door. Sylvia sitting alone at the head of the table, dressed up like she was still hosting. China plate set, roast chicken in the center, empty chairs. Not a single soul there. She had cooked for a full table, and no one came. April wrote. She waited 2 hours before putting anything away. Didn't eat. Just sat there. Like she thought people would show up late. They didn't. That image stuck with me more than anything. Because this wasn't about plates. It was never just about food or chairs or Sunday dinners. It was about power. About control. About a woman who thought shaming me made her stronger. A husband who thought silence was loyalty. And now they had nothing left to control. I rebuilt my life. Quietly, I left Arlington a few months later, moved to Austin. I got that promotion. My manager fought for me after HR finally cleared it. I bought a condo near Lady Bird Lake, small but full of light. I planted roses in my front window, just to remind myself that they could grow somewhere new. Therapy helped. A lot. Especially with the dreams. I still woke up some nights hearing Sylvia's voice in my head, saying, "The table is for family." That phrase haunted me for months. Until one day it didn't. One day, I cooked dinner for myself. Nothing fancy, just pasta with garlic and olive oil. And I sat down at my table. My own table. I lit a candle, poured a glass of wine, and I served myself first, not last, not like a dog on the floor. First, and I ate in peace. No one watching, no one judging, no queen in the corner holding court over scraps of dignity. Just me, quiet, free. The final word, they got exactly what they gave me. Silence, isolation, disbelief. And now I own something none of them ever could. My story. And the truth that, eventually, the cruelest people always end up sitting at empty tables. Alone.